our couples panel.
So, we know everyone up here, right? So I'll just start with some questions. First of all, I want to congratulate everyone for working as a couple, because I'm sure it's not always easy. They're all still married, they look happy. And maybe if I get rid of all that baggage now, I can have one of these too. So, the little prostate tank. Questions. So for the men, I'm going to start with you guys. What did you think when your wife said she joined It Works? We'll start right there. Miles?
I was pretty indifferent to it. I didn't even really know what was going on. Like, she kind of, she tried the rap, and I don't even think she told me that she tried it. And then I think she told me about it after she signed up. She's like, oh, I tried this rap and signed up to sell it. And I'm like, oh, all right. My mom had done some stuff like this before, and I'm like, it's whatever. It's a phase. It'll go away. Yeah. So that's kind of how I felt. I was pretty indifferent to it. I didn't really know what to think.
Okay. John?
So I'm probably a little bit off to the other side because we actually had a little bit of prior, we call it networking, direct sales experience, and we were 4.5 years in that, and we really did that business together. We had a lot of success. We didn't make any money in that business, but we were fully in that business together. And so when he tried the rap and we looked over the business model, I actually knew right away that this was something that we needed to do. So I'm atypical from what most guys are seeing, because most guys see their wife come home with the 6th or 7th, thing that, oh, I might be able to make some money at this and get burned. And we were a little bit atypical to that. So.
Kind of like Miles, she had tried it. I didn't really even know what was going on. Once she told me, I thought it was silly. Just another thing for us to have an auto shipment run, and it was really stressful in the beginning having that auto shipment run, and money was tight. But so I think I was her biggest critic, and I was probably watching mostly for fail, but that didn't happen.
No, it didn't.
Crystal didn't tell me when she first tried it, but when I found out, I thought it was like the biggest joke in the world, because I thought if you're gonna try to look better, you should probably be working out, or maybe eating better, or using one of the 3 different balls that I bought, one shaped like a peanut, and the other whatever. We had a whole collection of different workout DVDs and this and that, and we skipped right past all those, and now we have a body wrap. I guess I definitely was not happy about it.
Okay, I don't remember being at the first rap party, was he?
No, I was not.
Did you have extended family support when you started?
Somewhere for us.
Take this one.
My mom and dad were both a loyal customer, both of them, so that was supportive. And my grandma was my very first loyal customer, and she got 2 boxes of wraps and 2 boxes of facials every single month for about 2 years. And then I told her to stop, because I know I'm just going to find a closet with products one of these days. So they were supportive. Everybody else, no, they thought I went off my rocker.
That's about the same with me. My sisters, my mom, and my dad signed up. My cousins and extended family, they don't want nothing to do with it.
My parents were. They support me in every dumb decision I make, or good choice, I guess. His parents still are not supportive, so they are saying things more and more now, like, well, your paychecks are just going to keep going up, so you can look at bigger houses, right? I'm like, yeah, and they'll ask about events that we do, or they know that we go to Florida every few months for a while there, and so I guess they're not our biggest cheerleaders, but they don't use our products, they actually use a competitor's product. It's okay, they'll come over eventually.
Yeah, I guess we, the same thing, you know, John's side has been more open to it, but it wasn't until probably, you know, your family, your sister came on and then they were open to it, you know, that can happen. And my side, no, none of my side of my family at all. And we kind of made the decision up front that it shouldn't be that our family is supporting us anyways. It's not their job. I think there is a bad stigma out there because there's too much of that. Way from the beginning when direct sales began, I truly believe that many people thought that their families would just throw it down their throats and they'd say, you're going to support us. And that wasn't ever your family's job to support you. Your job is to go out and to work with people who really want to change their lives, who are interested in this type of a, you know, supplementation, that kind of a thing, and work with people who want it. So we've never been worried about that, I guess. We just keep showing them what we're doing. We think that if they come along and ask us questions, we're right there to help them. But I think showing them your success is really, really important, and being very professional in your business. And that will speak louder than any words that you ever can, I guess, share with them, is what I would say.
Well, you can show them the lifestyle and maybe send them a postcard every now and then.
Right.
I should add in, my cousins joined me a year and a half after I started.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
So guys, what do you do to promote your wife's business when you're outside the home?
I'm still a Minneapolis pipe fitter. I'm a service guy, so I go in and out of buildings and fix and maintenance heating and cooling equipment. So with that, I drive a service van and that thing's loaded up with Blitz cards and business cards. And I feel like I was cheating somebody now after being this far into the business and after conference and how much I've learned. I would absolutely be cheating somebody if I didn't give them a Blitz card, because what would be possible for them, if they showed interest and made it to one of these trainings and ended up where we are at today. So I blitz as much as possible and try to make it to all these events. We've met some of the best friends we have in this business, so definitely make it to all these trainings, and I'm fully supportive now, I guess. Do whatever I can now.
Josh is not normal. He's nuts because he'll just go, he'll be all black from head to toe. He was working on a unit and he'll just go with a Blitz card. He'll walk up to random people at gas stations. He has no fear. So any of you that are scared of blitzing, just make your guy do it. He makes fun of me all the time because I chicken out.
Gear, guys? Anybody wearing gear in here? Any of the guys that are here? That's a great way. The energy drink is another great one. You just walk around, whatever. Business I work in, we have a lot of contractors and stuff that come in here, and I just told her the other day, I was talking to one of the guys that was, he just happened to be coming through the lab, and kind of, shouted at him and said, hey, how's it going? And he's like, oh, good. And started chatting, and come to find out his wife actually sells this stuff, who would have known? That's just what I do. Any new people that we have come in there, I'm always talking about it, getting it out there. When we go out together, it's, we always have our gear on. I think that's the best way to do something. Events are great, especially, I don't know, I see maybe a handful of guys here, 20 guys or so. This room should be half and half. I mean, unless you don't have someone, otherwise you should be bringing them, bag them if you have to get them here. Yeah, funny story, when I finally met Josh, it was kind of like, all right, so I should be supportive of this, even though I still didn't understand it and didn't realize what it could do, it kind of showed me that I should support it.
Let me see that quick. If he would have decided that he was not a fan of this business, he would have never caught us 7-foot sailfish.
Just piggyback that, the gear is your number one in my eyes. Every time we're out of the house, I make sure that we put, some sort of shirt on, a lanyard with a Blitz card or something. It gets looks. People might not ask you all the time, but it gets looks and it gets people thinking and asking, they'll ask you questions eventually. If we're at a restaurant, we grab a Blitz card, set it on the table. Just little things, whether it's, you're blitzed 5 people a day or just talk to somebody, reach out to somebody a day, and just talk about the business. That's all you can do.
The first thing I would say is, guys, don't be a stumbling block for your wife. If your wife is the main part of the business, recognize her as an asset. And by not being a stumbling block, even if you're not comfortable talking about the business or even wearing a shirt, help out around the house. Take some load off of her. It was 10 months until I was blessed to be able to come home full time as a stay-at-home dad. But that doesn't mean retire. That means rewire. That means actually physically doing something to promote the business. And if that means doing laundry and taking that off her plate so that she has an extra hour to work the business and follow up with leads, then that's what you need to start off with. And I think that what you're going to find out is, as you recognize her becoming more of an asset, it's a little bit of a role change, but it's your evolution as a guy. You're going to come into your own, whether it's back office or, for me, I've been away from my business now for just about 1.5 years. And so what I'm actually doing now, especially with the introduction of the energy drink, is I'm going back out and I'm touching base with all my old contacts that I used to do business with. I just set up a Monday morning, 10 o'clock, with a guy that's a landscaper. I know that he's not very busy right now because he does snow removal, and as you all know, that we don't have a whole lot of snow this year. So we're going to have a mid-morning and we're going to catch up, and he's going to ultimately ask what I'm drinking, and it's going to go from there. So it really is an evolution. Just get on the wave and ride it. It's really just that easy.
So what changes have you made in your household? If you, like John, you're now home, and then how do you all balance your family and your work and priorities and who's doing what when? How do you do that? Balance.
I'm going to take this one because up until really recently, she doesn't really know this, but up until really recently, I was totally supportive of the business after we went to that first conference, but I still kind of had, I don't know if it was some sort of anger towards her or just, in a relationship, you're going to butt heads sometimes. And so I figured that when she quit her job, I wouldn't have to do anything but my job. And boy, was I wrong. And, we fought about that, and we finally were at a place now where it's like, I go to my job and then I come home and it's daddy daycare. I do laundry, I'm cooking supper, I'm doing all that stuff, and you don't really understand what can happen for your business when you have that full support. I know that she's grateful, for what I'm doing, and it doesn't feel like, I may not be the best blitzer, like I'm actually doing something for the business, but if you're picking up the slack someplace else where they don't have to, and then they can in turn take that time and spend it doing the business, that's when you're golden.
Family balance was easily like the biggest key to the, I guess for me to grow in this and work with it. Family balance was definitely the biggest topic because, well, yes it is. Anyway, I was so unsupportive, and it killed me to see that she was working so hard at something that I did not support. And she was doing darn well with it, and she meant well. She had big goals for her family, but it was just, there was so much time getting put into it. She'd wake up in the morning, she was on the computer, on the phone. I'd come home from work, she's on the computer, on the phone. It's time for dinner, the laundry's dirty, the dishes are dirty, everything was just, it was a mess. And it was a year of it. So it was just out of control. And I went to conference, there's a lot of the story. I got my story or whatever online now, you can see that. But so anyway, what ended up happening was I went to conference and I became supportive of this business, and she did something. She definitely was doing something, and I hopped on board, and so we came home, we had to develop a plan, and that was a family balance deal. So we decided that she's gonna work just like a business, she's gonna try to be productive with it, and in order to be productive with it, you need to work your business on a certain schedule, and you need to have some family time on a certain schedule. And if you do your business and family time together, then you're not doing it 100%. You're doing it about maybe 50%. When if you got a few kids crying or whatever, you're maybe doing about 25%. So what ended up happening was, yeah, we filled up our calendar with some family time, some it works time, and whatnot, and got all that straightened out. And then I was always very selfish with my own hobbies, you know, hunting and fishing and all that. And what really got me off her tail was one day I hunt and fish a lot, or I used to. And so she ended up throwing it in my face, Josh, get off my back, you know, this is my hobby, this is what I do, I don't have anything else. You know, I don't go out and hang with my friends on the weekend, I don't play softball, I don't hunt, I don't fish, holy shit. Sorry, this is a major topic for me, so it was a mess, man. We had a tough year, a really tough year. And so when we got this together, it was really cool to watch our family just develop into this just amazing, just great flow. It was just great. And the sacrifices that I made with the hunt and fishing, it's fine because I know that, you know, in a couple of years here, Corbin and I can go fishing. Where the hell I want. I would take this very serious. You know, if you got a family, if you got a husband or whatever, just get together with them and try to find a balance with them. And when you do, it'll take off for you.
You better keep him.
Okay. Well, now I have tears in my eyes. I can't breathe.
I didn't cry.
They didn't talk about balancing it. Oh.
Yeah.
We've had huge support from her side of the family, taking the kids whenever we need them to, so that she can do wrap parties and that we can have team meetings. And what's kind of changed for us, I think, a little bit is after conference, and maybe even a little bit before that, is we started working it more as a team. I've been helping out kind of on the back end, you know, maybe not getting out there handing out blitz cards as much, but on the back end and checking in with our team and checking in with who's adding new people and working on that part of it. So that's what's changed. Again, you know, you need to make family time. It's not all about business all the time, and you're going to burn yourself out if you do that. So make sure you set time for family and time for business. But again, what's changed is working it together and feeding off each other. I know there's a lot of times where you know, we'll get in arguments about certain things related to the
Charting.
But just feed off of each other. If you have that spousal support, you know, that's huge.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of talk about that a little bit too, that, you know, we all work hard in this life. Most of us do anyway. Some of us work really, really hard. And most of us work hard, you know, when I had my construction business for 7 years, I was the chief cook and bottle washer. I did everything from going out and doing bids, to doing the work, to doing the billing, and going back and doing the follow-up with my customers. And I did that for my family, but it was all me doing that work. Liz, on the other hand, she did what she was doing, and she went out and worked hard for that, and she worked hard with the kids. We've gone from working with me and she to we. And you know, if anyone's ever been in a fight at some point in their life, and even if it's just a virtual fight, you're not very strong when you're like this. But when you close your fist and put power behind it, that's we. And I'm not going to lie, I'm the same as these guys here in this respect, that Liz and I have gone through some tough times together. We've fought, you know, about different things. But now we're not fighting for something that's our own direction. We're fighting for something that's together, and we're fighting for our family. And that's really special to us. So thanks, it works. And I want to say something that Pam said too. We got to give credit to our Lord and Savior. And one thing that we did the first year that we were in this business was we prayed bold prayers for success and guidance and wisdom. You guys need to do that too.
any one of you guys can grab this, a couple of you. So what do you do when someone's had a bad day, disappointments? What do you say to each other to pump each other up?
Well, I have bad days often right now because I'm going for a big bonus. So I get discouraged if someone didn't sign with me that I've been working for or with for months. I call him and he is always so calm on every time that I call him. I'm like, oh, you'll never believe what just happened. And he's like, well, you move on. I'm like, well, you don't understand. And he just remains calm. He's like, you'll find somebody else that will be a blessing in your life that is supposed to be in your business when they're meant to be. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is we get so discouraged when we work so hard with somebody and you spend all this time with them, like Josh said, Crystal's on her phone or computer all the time. I'm really bad at balancing, and I'm still getting better at it, but I am always talking to people, so when you spend all those hours on the phone or talking to people, answering questions, and you go to sign them up and they're like, sorry, I signed up with somebody else. It's frustrating. I mean, that's how it is. Anybody would be frustrated. But if you can have somebody in the relationship that's grounded and that can put you back where you need to be, you're going to be so much more successful because you're not complaining about something. And part of this business too is that personal development that everyone's talked about. And I think if you can balance that out and you can have that personal development where you say, okay, nope, it's not our time for them to join our team, and you have that person that can get you back on to keep going, I think you're just going to be so much more successful because you're grounded and you're there together. And you're going to have down days. It's just the nature of it. But it's important to remember the reason that you started this and why you're doing it, that you'll find somebody who's a rock star and God will bless you with somebody better. So.
Anyone else want to comment on that?
Usually if Crystal's having a bad day, it's because she's doing too many things at once. I just tell her to take a break and take care of maybe one of them instead of 10. But, yeah, why don't you go ahead and take a...
Yeah, I think it's just about figuring out what you're good at and what you're not so good at. Josh can be really, really negative and get stressed out, a lot like Christina. We tease about this, and like me and Brad are the same person, and they're like the same person. It's so funny. But Josh gets really stressed out, so I'm really good at calming him down, and you know, it's very rare that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid, I'm just so mad about it, whatever. But just knowing what you're good at and where he'll tell me, you know, he'll just get me back on focus because I'm really bad about multitasking and trying to do way too much at once, and that was a big thing with our family balance because I was trying to do it works and family time all together when I wasn't giving either one of them my all. So it's just him kind of opening my eyes that I need to separate that, and when I'm doing it work stuff, being all in it works. When it's family stuff, you know, the computer, the cell phone might need to get turned off for a couple hours so I can be all in with my family.
Well, I think too, you know, most couples are different personalities. So you're going to complement each other and take over where the other one leaves off. And Christina's having a bad day, calls Brad calms down. And I think it's why couples can be so successful, and we see it all the time. So I would encourage everyone to just keep going along. If your husband isn't, don't be saying what a bad day you've had. Whenever he asks you how things are going, just say great. It just works. I'll just say great and leave it at that. You don't want them, because they're going to want to fix your problem, so you don't want them to. You just want to, you know, we vent and then we're done, but they're not. So don't go home with that. So, and then everything's going to change as your kids get different ages. Your business is going to change, and you just kind of keep working and, you know, figuring out as you go. So let's give these guys a big round of applause.